is extremely important for you to know about the city of Wuhan. Do you think the city of Wuhan is a well-developed city? I'd like answers, everybody. I like answers, I like everybody. Yes, it is. Do you know the population of the city of Wuhan?
1.7 million.
It is actually 11 million. The population of the city of Wuhan is 11 million. It has more than 300 universities. It is a student town. Everybody there is educated. 40% of them are graduates. But then why Wuhan? Wuhan and Chennai and South India have a lot of demographic similarities. One of the similarities is our population is the same. Both of us have 10 million of shifting population. And the other thing is, Wuhan is a student town. So what happens in a student town? Students stay there for the year and then they travel. And this time they all started to travel for the new year. So what happened was, why am I standing here today? Why is it important for all of you to come here when you have been reading and seeing about the coronavirus for the last 1 month? It is important because you all know as informed people that the information you have is not validated. Yes or no?
Yes.
Why do you have that feeling? Can anybody tell me why you have that feeling that, okay, I'm still not sure if it is the right information? No, it is because for any information to get validated, it takes a minimum of 9 months to 12 months, the same time it takes to make the viral vaccine. So all the information you are seeing on WhatsApp about 170 people, 200 people, salt, alkalinity, acidity, everything is not validated. What do I mean by validated? Validated is, it is not evidence-based, it is eminence-based. One person who's really popular, who has a lot of viewers, says something, it is made into a photograph and it is printed. So let's get to the real information. Can everybody see this? All these statistics are absolute statistics. This is the statistic of this morning at 5 a.m. So the total number of infected patients till now is 125. Those who have recovered are 64,000, which means the recovery rate is 50 and above. Now, if you see, it says the active cases are 47,403. What does it mean, active cases? They are patients who have still not recovered, but they can be recovered. Yeah? So, in all possibility, the number of deaths, which is 4089, could stop from anywhere between 7,000 to 50,000. And it depends upon what? It is a perfect slide for them. What does it depend upon? It depends upon how the virus spreads. Does it spread when I blow, or when I cough, or when I touch somebody, or when I sneeze? The coronavirus is weird in that it is very similar to the seasonal flu when it comes to spreading. And it is very different when it comes to the mortality rate of those who have the serious version of the virus. Now, who is going to get the serious version of the virus? Who do you think? Generally, those who are weaker than the rest of the population. So, who in our family is weaker than the rest of the population? Our parents, our in-laws, those who are above 65. So this coronavirus is not very virulent. Only 3,000 have died. All this is right. The point what I am here for is, corona is a virus which attacks a very specific demographic. It attacks those who have lower lymphocytes. What are lymphocytes? Lymphocytes are white blood cells. They are our warrior cells in the body. So lymphocytes are specific to antiviral efficacy. So when you grow older, your bone marrow is not as efficacious as when you're an adolescent or a kid or when you're 30. And the first thing which reduces is lymphocytosis. Lymphocytes stop growing. So any of you who has anybody who you love who's above 65, everyone in your family should be as cautious as that person, because we are young, we are strong, we can even be asymptomatic carriers who could infect somebody older in our houses. And that is why you need to take this coronavirus seriously, because as everybody says, yeah, this is a very, very beautiful. So far, children and adolescents have been far less affected by the COVID-19 and their symptoms always have been mild. You feel good looking at this. The WHO is a trickster, you know. Do you feel good looking at this? Tell me, yes or no? I feel brilliant when I look at this. Why do I feel brilliant? Because I know that my future generations are safe, but my future generations are safe from infection. They could be the greatest carriers of coronavirus fatality in your community. I want you guys to understand this. So this line is actually one of the most dangerous lines about the coronavirus. That so far adolescents and children have been less affected. So it's great. Our children are safe. Our children are safe. Why was it a problem in Wuhan? Coming back to the history, Wuhan is a student town. So in a student town, they were identifying for the first 4 weeks that younger people, students, had a funny kind of respiratory infection which sometimes went into a pneumonia which healed. It healed with normal antimicrobials, normal antibiotics, and with supportive treatment. But then after the first wave, when they sent the patients back, older people started to fall dead when they started to get out of the house. There are disturbing images of a man just walking with a mask, stumbling and falling. 68 years old, 74 years old. In Chennai, we have a lot, our older population is around 30%. So the susceptibility of a city like Chennai, which has wet markets also, where animals are slaughtered and sold directly. That's a wet market. Wet market, the population, older people, and a lot of younger people. Now, this is the city of Wuhan. So that what you see there is a wet market. What is a wet market? A wet market is a place where you choose something alive and they chop it up, they cook it, or they sell it to you. That is a wet market. So now, coronavirus is there in bats. How the hell did it mutate and get into human beings? That's a question I will answer. Now, this is the Wuhan City Central Hospital. It is 2,400 bedded tertiary care institution, and they were struggling. They were struggling because anybody who has a respiratory virus was dragged, taken, and put in hospital along with those who had COVID-19, and there was an intermixing of infection because at that time nobody knew that 85% of infections are asymptomatic and mild. So they thought whether it's a corona or a flu or whatever it is, let us clump them together. And that is what started this outburst. Today, though, in China, of the 81,000 infected, 60,000 have already recovered. I will tell you how. Now, the name coronavirus, it's not related to the bear, but it is related to why corona. Corona means crown. So if you see, can you see those red spots there? The red spots, the distance between the red spots is what changes the characteristic of the virus. So if you see, can you see this? This RNA here. This RNA is ribonucleic acid. It is actually the heart, or I would rather say the blueprint of the virus. So the coronavirus can actually change depending upon the host and what the climate or the country's conditions are. Now, this is something I really doubt if any of you would have heard. You have to understand. Would you like to know how to control the coronavirus? Yes or no? Or you're still not sure? Yes. So the R value is in a disease. If R is equal to 1, it means if yes, you are sitting in front. No, I hate that. So if he has coronavirus, I am touching it, so I will have it too. If he spreads it only to me, his R is 1. At this point of time, say I am coronavirus. In the world, my R is 2.2. Yes, please. I will come back to it. My R is 2.2. It means that as a coronavirus, for every one person who is infected at this point of time, I'm happily infecting 2.2 people. Which means I'm really happy that I am not going to be finished at this point of time. If any of you are thinking that we have seen the end of Corona, it's a drama, China is being pointed out and all that, let all that be true. Even I've heard more than rumors about it. But the point is that at this point of time, R is 2.2. And you have to bring R down to less than 1 in order for it to be a non-communicable disease. So here again, the point which I want you to take is children and adolescents are super spreaders. They will not have any symptoms. They might just have a cough and a cold. But anyway, yeah, you can use that method. See, if you have a cough, give it to your dad. That's all you have to do. So you have to understand that if a child has a cough or a cold, you have to keep the child away from anybody in your family who you think is susceptible. Yes, all the children can go to hostels now. Now, see, the SARS virus, the MERS virus, all the viruses which we know about have been coronaviruses from 2003. I don't know why this time they decided to just make the word corona really, really popular. Why we are afraid of it is if you see, even though the SARS, the MERS, that mortality rate was very high, the number death is way more in COVID-19. And the reason is because of the unsuspecting super spreaders around the immunologically compromised or the weaker people. So just so that you know exactly how it spreads. So the coronavirus from Wuhan was in a bat, and the bat was apparently, and the infected bat was stacked up on cages above an anteater whose scales are eaten a lot apparently in China. And from there to the wet market in Wuhan, it spread to people visiting, not eating the food. When you cook the meat, coronavirus dies. So people who are handling the food, handling the animals, touching the animals, because when you handle it sweaty, you take it and you do it and you're done. So the coronavirus doesn't need to have a bat or an anteater or a wet market anymore. All of us are enough. Because right now the virus is in a phase where it has already mutated to affect human beings. So we should just have, just like in school, no simple thing, 1 arm distance. 1 arm distance in everything, including in school. Anybody says, come closer, say no, 1 arm distance. 1 arm distance is the first thing which will save you from getting the coronavirus. So what will happen if it enters? In 85% of patients who are infected will have no symptoms, flu-like symptoms, or just fever, body pain, and cough. 85% of them. And in that, 60% of them will heal without an issue, but we are not worried about them. We are worried about who the 60% are going to infect when they have a mild disease. That is the point I want all of you to take. Now, what is acute respiratory distress syndrome? Acute respiratory distress syndrome is when you want to breathe and you're puffing out, but only 30% of your air capacity you are able to take in and take out. It is because your lung musculature is not able to work because of accumulation of fluid or pus or edema, or it could be anything. Then the final one is critical illness with organ failure. Once even there, the mortality rate of corona is only around 49%. So if two of them land in organ failure, one of them will still survive. Yeah. Do you feel happy about this? Maybe. Thank you. That was why. See, the agenda of this meet is, as you are my Rotary, you need to see through the smoke, because it is our duty to protect the community, our community, with just information. The vaccine trials for COVID-19 are phase 1, starting in April. So it will take at least 9 months for the actual vaccines to come out. Have any of you thought of getting tested for the coronavirus? If you have, then it is just a blood test. Okay, it's not any scary thing. A blood test with an RNA PCR. That is, it just recognizes the RNA strands to say if you have corona or not. What is symptomatic treatment? Symptomatic treatment is your normal, traditional medicine. My dad always asks me to drink that Nilavembu Kashaya. Yeah? Nilavembu Kashaya is actually shown to increase your lymphocytes. So please drink it. It is very, very good for you. Then antivirals, antibiotics, anti-malarials. All those are for those who need hospitalization, and many of the drugs are working, but still there is no drug which kills the corona 100%. Now the treatments which look really promising are, we have 60,000 of them who are already healed from the corona. So those who are struggling to heal, doctors are harvesting antibodies from those who have healed, who have the capacity to resist the virus, and injecting it into the elderly and those who are unable to deal with it. Now, how to protect yourself? It is just these 5 things. There is nothing else you can do. Please don't wear masks. Please. Please don't. I will explain it to you really. See, so just wash your hands even with salt water. You know, if there is no hand spray, don't worry. All of you have alcohol in your house, yeah? Put it in a spray bottle and spray. It works on corona. If there is no antiseptic and you need to clean something, alcohol is more than enough to get rid of corona. And the other thing is, inside outside. Yeah, it's an interesting question. A friend of mine called Sarah, he was traveling to Vietnam. So he asked me, hey, should I come and get a booster? But at that point of time, he was sitting with a Jack Daniels glass. I said, from this point onwards, to the lounge, to the airport, back to the hotel, keep drinking. Nobody will come near you anyway. Corona is not going to reach you. Yeah? So 1 arm distance. See, always this 1 arm distance. Make sure. Be there. See, what we are doing right now is actually not good. We are sitting too close to each other. Now, the final thing. See, the question on everybody's mind is masks. You know, what is the fascination with masks? I will tell you. You know, biologically, this zone, the T zone, is the zone we were meant to protect. Whatever happens, we close it. Anything happens, we finish it. Because this has blood supply which goes straight to the brain. Yeah? So now, masks make us feel emotionally that we have protected a vulnerable spot in our body. See, when I am operating, I wear a mask. You know why I wear a mask? My theater is sterile. My patient is painted with loads of sterilium and he's sterile. I wear a mask to protect the theater environment and my patient. If I say, hey assistant, give this, I don't want my droplets to fall. That is the only purpose of a surgical mask. A surgical mask is not enough to protect you from the tiny COVID-19 at all. If you want to wear it emotionally or you think it's a fashion statement, then okay. So then what are these N95 masks? N95 masks are called N95 because they filter 95% of the viruses. But that comes with an issue. N95 masks have to be used with protective gear. And the sizes have to be fitted right, because if there is a spot open here or you scratch your leg and then do like this, it is of no damn use. And I haven't seen one person wearing a mask not touch the mask every 30 seconds. Think about it. Someone just went sweating here, pull it down, pull it up, move it this side, take it down, sneeze, put it up, you know. So it is only a bigger source of infection the longer you keep it around. Because we are in a sweaty damn country. It sweats, we pull, we push, it's gone. So you're carrying a source of infection right on your nose. So surprisingly, this is the extent of my talk.